I've always believed in the power of young entrepreneurs and their ability to use business as a tool to create impact. Hey everyone, my name is Arjun Garg and I'm a rising sophomore at Boston College studying finance and economics, and I'm also involved in the venture capital and private equity space. During my time at VC, I took an economics class with Professor John Herbal, and if there was one thing I could take away from it, it would be the notion of trade-off. That you can either produce product X or product Y, or both in a combination, because you have limited resources in the economy. Now that's a textbook definition. A real-life example of this would be my mom asking me to choose between a Spider-Man action figure and a remote-controlled Mercedes. Really tough choice if you ask me, but that's a weird engine. Come to think of it, everything really depends on time and money. And wouldn't you all agree, by show of hands, how many people here love money? One more fit? Yeah, and that's exactly what the father of capitalism said, Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations, that there's no complaint more common than that of a lack of money. So let's go a little back in time and look at markets and businesses when they all aspire to have this one thing that we all just agree to love: money. You see, business as a notion was cutthroat in nature, and there was no community and there was no caring about people. So what's changed? Well, a lot, if you think about it. The evolution of business ethics has been a change for good. From being a profit-only machine to companies starting embracing social responsibility in the 60s, to shifting to greater collaboration in the 70s and 80s, to maintaining until today when they're maintaining consumer privacy and focusing more on the consumer. Businesses have completely transformed themselves. You see, it's not just about making executives rich. So everything has changed, but where is this evolution coming from? Well, according to me, it's because of one thing, and it's because of change in stakeholders. As you can see, I've listed 7 stakeholders on the screen. We have trade associations, customers, employees, suppliers, investors, communities, and the government. Now that's a whole lot of dinosaurs than the ones who were invited to the 1960s party. You see, businesses have completely changed. It's not about making executives rich, it's about making all of these lives better. The fundamental notion in thinking about stakeholders also introduced the idea of thinking about communities, making sure that an enterprise will only succeed if it not just takes care of its employees, but also provides better options to people around it by giving them competitive wages, by making sure that they have healthcare benefits and a good working conditions. So let's dive a little deeper into communities. And a great example of this would be of this man right here. His name is Hamdi. Hamdi was just an ordinary man like you and me until one day he came across an ad in a newspaper about an old factory that was on sale. This factory was owned by one of the world's largest food producers, and they were selling it because the numbers weren't adding up. And so when Hamdi heard that a CEO sitting in the Glass Tavern in New York City decided that we're going to shut this down because the spreadsheets weren't looking good, he was infuriated. He thought, spreadsheets are lazy. This is about people, this is about stories, and this is about uniting people together. So he went out of his way and took out a loan and bought a factory. He had no clue what he was going to do. So he hired 4 of the original people who used to work there. One of his names was Mike. So Mike goes to Hamdi one day and he says, okay, this is great, we bought the factory, gave him the job, now what are we going to do? And Hamdi says, we're going to paint those walls outside. And the rest is history. He's the CEO of Chobani, which is worth over $2.1 billion, which is the world's largest Greek yogurt producer. You see, it was not just about painting the walls over the summer. It was about making sure that it was an act of unity. It was making sure that people came together. It was about stories. It was about people. And all of this wouldn't have been possible if there wasn't access to capital for the same. Because everything is run by money, like we all just said. We love money. So let's talk about green funds. These funds are basically funds that invest in ESG companies that ensure positive environmental impact. And as the realm of investing is changing each and every day, we see more wealth managers being asked by their clients, okay, we want to invest in something that we deeply, deeply care about. And a good number to prove that would be the third number right here. That the green bond market is expected to hit $1 trillion by just next year. That's a great indicator. Sustainable businesses are working, we have money, everyone is awesome. Then why are we talking about this? Well, that's the problem, right? But before we get into it, let's do a quick poll. We'll do an investor interest poll. Let's talk about people here who are interested in sustainable investing. And before you raise your hand, I want you to consider that this is the space where you want to create impact. There's so many more causes that you can invest your money in, and those are equally as important or more important than this. Okay, raise your hands now. So we see, oh, that's just 10% of the audience. That's shocking. And let's see, how many people believe that ESG-focused companies earn better returns? Before you raise your hand, you need to consider the fact that they might use more premium quality material, and they might have fancier equipment to make sure that they're following pollution protocols and everything. So how many people believe that ESG companies are going to do better? Okay. Oh, that's more hands than before. So let's say about 50, 60, or 60%. And how many of you worry that investing in, let's say, sustainable businesses will earn you less? And you need to consider that this is the space where you want to create impact. You need to consider that this is an unconventional space. You've not invested your money here before, so there's obviously risk. So even if you worry the slightest bit, raise your hand. How many of you worry that sustainable business might not do better? Okay, so that's about, let's say, 20% of the people who raised their hands before. Let's look at the real numbers that Morgan Stanley found. 75%, 71%, and 53%. You see, the third number here is the biggest problem today. More than half of investors still believe that investing in ESG businesses requires a financial trade-off on their end. That is a big problem. But there's still hope. In the report, we also found that millennials are twice as likely to invest in sustainable businesses, given they have proved that these businesses are actually going to do better than normal companies. So let's look at what the experts say. After a research conducted at Oxford University, they found that 88% study showed that companies adhering to ESG standards show better operational performance, and 80% showed a positive effect on stock price performance. Let's look at another study that was conducted at Harvard Business School. It says that if you had invested $1 20 years ago in a select portfolio of companies that were public companies, tech companies, or whatever, you would have $14.46. Now that's great returns. But if you had invested the same money in ESG businesses, you would have $28.36. Now that's proof that ESG businesses and returns go together. That the only financial trade-off that exists is in our heads. And that is exactly what Audrey said. She's the CSO at Morgan Stanley. She said that one of the biggest obstacles to investing according to our convictions may actually just be in our heads. Now that's true. All we need is a shift in mindset. And people like you and me are going to be the ones that bring it. We're going to be future entrepreneurs, investors, lawyers, government employees. And it is our responsibility to ensure that people understand that sustainability and returns are not a myth. It is, in fact, the future. Finally, I'm going to leave you with some wise words from Sri Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.